Hello, folks. I'm your host, Keir Walker, and welcome to your first episode of See New York, where we show you the people, places, and things that make this the city that never sleeps and the hippest place on the planet. Right now, we're here in downtown Brooklyn, Fort Greene, the Fort Greene section of Brooklyn to be exact. And today, we're going to show you landmarks and the different people who made this artsy, very historical area. Which I like to call Black Hollywood. I like to call like the Black Mecca. A lot of different celebrities have grown up here, have worked here, shot music videos, a lot of exciting things. So, follow me and I'll show you a lot of different things that since I would say growing up here, since the mid 80s, early 90s, and until today, it's been a very happening place. One of our first stops here in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, the historical Fort Greene, Brooklyn. This area here, I would say circa 1992, I met a gentleman. He gave me his card. Somebody just told me, Keir, you have to network to meet different people in the industry. So I said, let me network. So I'm trying to think how I made the connection. Andre Harrell. I knew it had to do with Uptown Records, right? So the gentleman wrote on his on the back of a business card I had, a clear part of it, he wrote Puffy Uptown A&R. Of course, years later, he would be, Puff Daddy would become the richest man in hip hop and all the different things he would become. Also during that time in 1992, this is probably maybe even before I think he met B.I.G., which B.I.G., if anybody knows this area, grew not too far on St. James Place off of Fulton Street, So this is a very historical time for me, meeting p.diddy there. I would have to meet probably 15 people to talk to their brother now, but at that time, you could just go up to to talk to p.diddy. And I never called him. I just had the number because it said A&R. I didn't know what to ask him because this was really before I started interviewing celebrities and different things. But this is a very historical place for me. Also, too, to let you know how historical place this is. Okay, as the cameraman will pan to the street, after this party, which I will let you see. Spike Lee had a party at his at his place called the 40 Acres and the Mule Filmworks headquarters. He had a party there in '92 around where Malcolm X came out the movie. Here in the street there, as people were filing out, was pretty good. NBA world champion John Sally was in the street holding court, talking to a couple of people. I seen Q-Tip come out of here, Kadeem Hardison upstairs, and of course the man who made it all happen, Spike Lee, in the building as well. So it's very historical, and also to me because usually you would see that type of scene in Manhattan, but here to see that here in Fort Greene was very very interesting. But we'll show you, and down the block we'll show you something, another form of history. Okay, right behind me is the place where I was able to meet like p.diddy and see all these different celebrities because I went to a party here back in '92. Here is at Spike Lee's headquarters for 40 Acres and a Mule Filmworks, which began 1986. And this is where, if walls can talk in here, it'd be interesting because a lot of different auditions and a lot of different things that happen, and the magic that you've seen on the screen of Do the Right Thing and She's Gotta Have It, Malcolm X, and different things like that. Spike has put out. This is like the place where some of the planning has gone to, and different things like that, auditioning actors and different things like that. So behind me is very historical, and also interesting too, that Spike Lee kept it Brooklyn. A superstar, from Brooklyn stayed here and, had his art, housed here in Brooklyn as well. So that's another interesting fact. So yeah, as you can see his flag and some of his music, poster memorabilia and different things, paintings and stuff, so this is, again, Spike Lee's 40 Acres and a Mule DreamWorks headquarters here in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. Oh, and folks, before we travel on, now that you got the history of Spike Lee and his art and different things that he's done, like in the past and his headquarters, we're going to move around the corner to show you another aspect of history where Trey Songz filmed Gotta Go. His Gotta Go video was shot a few years ago. That's around the corner. The Lost Boy shot Renee around the corner. So a lot of historical things. So come follow me around the corner, Lafayette and South Elliott, and and I'll let you see where that magic happened on those two music videos. Yes, folks. Now we're here in front of the store that you'll recognize in a couple of music videos. Trey Songz "Gotta Go" and the Lost Boys "Renee." As the camera pans, you'll see the address 89 Lafayette. Look real close and you'll see that's where both of those music videos were shot. As far as the continuation of the history of this area. Also, too, what's significant about this block for me, I was able to meet the jazz great Bradford Marcellus. Real cool guy. I say, hey, how you doing, Mr. Marcellus? Whatever. He's real cool. And not just that, I recognized him, that was it. He said, hey, matter of fact, this is my wife, this is my son. He was mad cool. I said, wow, I wasn't expecting that, but that was a real beautiful moment. But this is another part of the history of Fort Greene, where we at Lafayette and South Portland. So you're in the area, you'll be able to say, wow, I passed by where they shot two music videos, nice R&B and rap, music video. You'll be able to say. Okay, next we're gonna go Lafayette and South Oxford, this prestigious building where Power 105's and Love and Hip Hop's DJ Self grew up. Jeff Tweedy of the president of Sean John Clothing once lived. Brian Livar, who directed a lot of music videos, over 150 music videos. Nas, 702, Keith Murray, to name a few. So we're gonna go one block over, and and we'll talk about more history. Yes, folks. We here one block over. We here on Lafayette and South Oxford. This building behind me is a very prestigious building. Me and DJ Self grew up here. We spend a lot of our lives here, but of course, moving out and different things. But yeah, we grew up here. Very, like I say, artsy, influential area. Before I get into DJ Self history and different things like that, other people who also made this place a home. Jeff Tweedy, he's the president of Sean John Clothing. Give you a little history about Jeff Tweedy. He also worked with Spike Lee as far as 40 Acres in the Mule Clothing. He was executive of there. Brian LeVar lived in his building a few years ago. He, influential music video director. He directed music videos by Keith Murray, 702, Nas, the Fat Boys, to name a few. And now he does a lot of fashion photography. So, Brian LeVar did a lot of different great things. Okay. I met one of Biggie's childhood friends here in this building, too, when I lived here. And me and him would chop it up, and he would tell me a lot of history about Biggie and, different things. So, who knows? Maybe we may revisit, doing a joint project about Biggie Smalls or whatever down the line. Who else? Wow. Who else? There's so many. There's somebody else I wanted to mention. It may come to me, but one of the most, I guess, interesting people who lived here, amongst the countless people, a writer from XXL I know lived here, actor who acted in The Wire lived here, so many different people. But one of the things I also wanted to tell you is, more importantly, DJ Self lived here. As a cameraman, we'll pan to the fourth floor. That window there is the room where DJ Self perfected his craft. Before he would go on to stages internationally to play, clubs, Power 105, and go into TV fame with Love and Hip Hop. DJ Self affected his craft here. Here in this room here on Lafayette and South Oxford. So next time you see DJ Self, at an event and stuff like that, you could tell them, I know where you, trained at. I know where you got your start at, so to speak. Let them know. Also, too, DJ Self reminded me that, when we lived in the 4D, that he used to steal my mail, to go to the different events and things like that. Now I know why certain events I couldn't go to.
Actually, to be honest with you, not because my older brother standing here, but he would get invited into certain like industry events. No, he didn't ever bring me in. Like most of the time, I probably would steal some of his mail. He didn't know that he got an invite somewhere, and I would use the invite for myself.
My little brother stole my mail, and but also I wanted to also tell you this too. That me and DJ Self, because I know a lot of people ask me that too about our collaborations or whatever. Who knows? We may do some things in the future, but one of the things I was proud that me and him did, he was like a co-host of my Plus Comedy City with Kenny Williams. He co-hosted that event in Times Square. So, we may do some other things in the future, but that was one of the, things I like that we, collaborate on and stuff. Okay, next, one block over. Thank God these blocks are not long. We're going to go to Lafayette and Cumberland. We're going to show you where they shot a scene from Strictly Business. You'll see where Tommy Davidson had a scene, and Mr. Rockerazzi will follow me one block over.
Maybe I could be you. I always thought. Maybe I could be you. I always thought. Maybe I could.
Behind me is where, in the movie Strictly Business, where you see Tommy Davidson, walk up the stairs, and he would, had a little, argument or whatever with the young lady in the building. This wasn't like, and just, so you could see the movie process of this area as well, movie making process of this area rather, that these stairs, not a Hollywood sound stage, not somewhere in Toronto, but right here in Brooklyn, New York. You'll see Tommy Davidson. Next time you see the movie, you'll see Tommy Davidson, having words with the lady inside. So this is a very historical moment too of the area. Another interesting part of here in Fort Greene is the fact that a lot of major subway systems, subway lines come here to Fort Greene. So if you're not driving or you're not taking an Uber, this is a great mode of transportation here in New York, is a subway. Right behind me, we have the C train here at Lafayette Avenue. Right across the street, you got the G train to Fulton Street, and then you have the 2, 3, 4, N and R that go to Atlantic Avenue, right? Which is a few blocks away from here. So you have an option of, what's that, between about 6 to 8 subway lines or so that come here. So, just to save yourself, if you don't have that Uber, the taxi, or the car, you have, the subway is a great mode of transportation here. Also, what's significant about this corner, here where we at, Fulton and South Portland. Above me, the Brooklyn legend, Biggie. And you see the mural up here in remembrance of him. Take a picture with Biggie before you leave. I guess before you go back to Manhattan or something like that. Next, we're going to go to Spike Lee's Clockers. During that scene, it was like a fast food place. So you'll get to see that. I believe Harvey Keitel and another actor was speaking in front of that scene, during the movie. Well, you'll get to see where they spoke and where they had that restaurant scene at. Follow me. This is where Spike Lee shot Clockers. The Clockers scene where they're like at let's say, an outdoor eatery. I believe Harvey Keitel, who played a detective in that movie, he's speaking to someone on that scene. In that scene, rather. Right behind me is where they had that restaurant built, for that scene. Then it turned to a parking lot. Now it's a big, now it's an office building, rather, looks like. And looks like it's continuing that the catchword, everybody's talking about gentrification, here in Brooklyn, that they wanted to turn this into, I guess, a mini Manhattan. So this is like an example of that, across the street. In closing, what I also wanted to tell you is that for future See New York episodes, We're going to be in the other 5 boroughs: Queens, Manhattan, the Bronx, Staten Island, and we're going to show you the landmarks that you've seen and other music videos, movies, magazines, etc. You know, you'll see it here from See New York. In closing, too, I want to also give a shout out to my boy Still a Mess. Give a shout out to the Plus Size in the City models. I want to give a shout out to my boy behind the lens, Mr. Rockerazzi, and everybody out there in YouTube, Facebook land. Until next time, peace.